Hello and welcome to a Strive Academic video on the Reading to Write rubric. This is the Term 1 Prelim Common Module rubric that all advanced and standard English students across New South Wales begin their Year 11 preliminary English year with. Let's get started. The first thing to start with is that in senior English, we have what we call rubrics. They are documents that explain what the module or topic for study is that term. The reason rubrics are so important, all your HSC questions at the end of the year, in the culmination of your study, whatever they asked you in the English HSC, it must come from the rubric. Therefore, a really good way to look at your rubric prescriptions is like they are your syllabus. Like you would in any other subjects, break down your syllabus and summarize your information according to them. It's really important we break down in senior English our syllabus and make sure that we understand its elements. We know how to analyze according to that rubric, and we know how to formulate our perspectives and responses according to that rubric. And that will help us get towards academic success in senior English. So, if you haven't already received or seen a copy of the Reading to Write rubric, you can find one online really easily. You can go on the NESA or New South Wales Education's website and access their document by looking for the either advanced English or standard English syllabus, and you can find the prescriptions within there as well. What I'm going to take you through is a summary of that document and really just help you understand the purpose of the rubric, the aspects you're going to need to engage with, and what you're going to have to do with it across your very first term of senior English. Let's begin. Now, as it is the first topic that standard and advanced English students begin with in their preliminary year, the goal and the main aim is to improve students' reading and writing skills on the whole. It will be a great unit for you to not only refine your reading and writing skills and strategies, but also perhaps to develop more highbrow ones that are going to help you create elevated pieces of writing. In this module, students are encouraged to, taught, modeled, and supported in interpreting texts and responding to them. And that interpretation and response may be text in very different formats, in different styles, and with different ideas and meanings. While the reading to write topic is prescribed, there is no set text for study, and in this way, each school can individually decide what text they're starting with and actually make sure that in their prelim year, they've picked texts that are going to align really well with what will be taught in year 12. And so, therefore, these three terms for you are really a nice starting point, a nice way to get into the process of senior English. So you'll learn to consider texts, think critically about them, explore them, analyze, and also skills wise, be able to communicate your understanding better, be able to express your thoughts in your opinions and your engagement with these texts, and in turn, use these texts as modules, or I should say models, for you to be able to create your own crafting skills and your own pieces of writing. A good way to start connecting and introducing aspects of the rubric is to consider what you think reading is and why it's important, what it means to write, what is the relationship between reading and writing. It'd be a great idea to create a whole list of different synonyms that work with this idea of reading, accessing, considering, interpreting, and even writing, responding, crafting, creating, reflecting. The important thing to note is this relationship between the two, because the whole purpose of this module is that it posits that to be a good writer, you have to first be a good reader. And so you might think, what does that mean? Think about all the great skills and strategies that you already have to effectively read and engage with text, and the great skills and strategies that you might already have to effectively respond and craft your own writing and written responses. And if you're sitting here thinking, I'm not quite sure, then it's really important in this module you allow what you're learning in your classroom to support your own understanding of your reading and writing skills and to help you develop them now to put you in good stead for your future courses and for the HSC English course. Because being a good reader and writer is really tied to what you're accessing and what you're engaging with. Wide reading is really important, but also trying to engage deeply and connect with the text that you'll be examining in your classroom is the first step as well. Once you start examining what messaging is coming through, what ideas, what language, what techniques, you can start to develop a bit of a checklist or a toolkit because you're examining good writing. And that's going to help you, in turn, become a good and effective writer as well. Now, let's look at some of the key elements of the rubric. One of the major focuses is the idea of the analytical skills development. So, what this module really wants you to do is be able to refine your ability to analyze both the content and messaging and ideas and subject matter within a text, but also be able to analyze the style of a text, the text structure, the text form, the genre perhaps, the specific language techniques and stylistic features. And in this way, you're going to actually learn how different authors will craft writing in different ways, using different techniques, different styles to be able to craft meaning. And in turn, hopefully, you'll appreciate the literature a lot more when you consider the craft that goes into producing it as the reader. Another major focus is the idea of voice and personal voice in writing. Now, that really means that we're going to be helping students develop their own personal style and creative writing voice. And not just creative. Think about all the types of response writings you do: an essay, a narrative, a reflection piece. They all essentially have hallmarks of your voice. You will find that you have your own ways of organizing information, your own ways of expressing ideas, the types of language devices that you use, and the types of technique that are really hallmarks of your feature. Are you a descriptive writer? Do you love incorporating atmosphere? Are you working on incorporating dialogue a little bit more effectively? These are the kinds of things that you will have an opportunity to discover, explore, and refine within the study of this module. Another focus is engagement. And the idea is if we're embedding ourselves in reading, enriching texts, that we're also appreciating these texts and it's enriching our own skills and abilities in writing our own texts. If we can engage more deeply with a particular text, we're going to be more likely to analyze, examine, and connect with the themes and the context and the messaging better. And that in turn will make you a more thoughtful writer as well, as you then consider what is your messaging? What is your context, your purpose? Who is your audience? How are you going to be using language to craft your responses? Another aspect is how you're able to integrate your language skills. And this is, yes, it goes big picture to your structure, your organization, your flow, but it even becomes to the really specific elements of your vocabulary, your diction, how well you're using your punctuation to create flow and rhythm in a text. Is your grammar and spelling correct? Looking at these really fine elements of our writing to help develop our piece as a whole and make it more clear and more cohesive. And remember that the more clear and cohesive it is, the greater control you're likely to have over the tension and the pacing of your narrative and your imaginative pieces as well. Lastly, collaboration and feedback. This module really allows students the opportunity to workshop, to play around with their writing skills, and also to actually reflect on it and collaborate with peers and actually engage in peer feedback, where you as students are not only reading an author's works, you're reading your own, you're reading your peers, and in turn, that's helping you become a better writer as well. In Reading to Write, you'll also examine structure and style. The module really sets us up for a way to be able to build our knowledge and our skills on how we structure texts, how we approach them, how we organize, what language elements we use, what form, what genre, what features, and also let that blend into the particular style. One way that's done is by having your teachers choose for you really important, effective, good quality pieces of writing that not only inspire creativity, but allow you first to start by examining their style. Is their style clear? Is it engaging? What makes it so? What do you note about their style? Are there particular language features they tend to use? What do you note about what ideas they're expressing and why they might be expressing them? It's clear that examining good writing enables students to be able to write well, as it inspires creativity, serves as a model and a springboard for good crafting and writing. As a senior English student now, there is a degree of reflection that you need to take in order to effectively engage with what's ahead and also to refine and develop your skills as you move forward. So, some things to consider when you're getting into the reading to write module and to really get ready for your Year 12 study as well is one, how can you develop your unique voice? And think about what activities enabling you to do that. When you're doing imaginative writing, what seems to be a hallmark of your voice? What are your strengths? How can you improve that and that further and really deepen your writing? What are some elements that need more work? And can you spend that time in the reading to write unit to really embrace them and develop them further? Think about this in your reflective writing and your analytical writing as well. We can always embed our own personal voice. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean using pronouns, but it means that then your writing will become distinguishable because it will have its own style, its own way about, its own voice. Also, think to yourself, when you're actually examining texts and you're looking at their structure and their style, how does the structure and the form work to help the author put forth their themes, their ideas, and their overall messages? What I'm saying is your purpose, your authorial intent, and the author's purpose. How is their purpose in their piece? What ideas they're trying to get across being explored and exemplified by the way that they've used structure and language? Also consider, how can you engage with and personalize text? How can you springboard off a really great piece of writing? Is there an idea that you're really engaging with that you can actually transpose into a new environment? Is there a technique that you haven't used as much before, but you think you might like to try and craft something out of it? Is there a characterization or a way that setting has been introduced that you might like to play around with and add into your own writing toolbox? Also, be open to feedback. Constructive feedback is immensely important in all of your senior English work and your lessons, not just in reading to write. Engage with your peers, ask them for feedback, take on board constructive criticism, show your writing to your teachers, ask for some personal insights and perspectives. All writers evolve. They evolve from careful consideration and reflection. So it's really important that you have an open mind going into this rubric about your reading and writing skills. We're looking for growth and a growth mindset here. If you want a great little activity to help you really engage with and explore the rubric, have a go at these activities with a copy of the rubric. Step 1, read it, understand, do some annotating, see what makes sense, see what doesn't, see what might need some further clarification. 2, highlight the learn about sentences, and then in another color, highlight the learn to sentences. All of the rubrics within the English senior syllabus, you'll note, happen to have sentences where some of them read more like students are learning about, or students will, or students are going to understand. And these might be more content or topic based statements, sorry. So if you've got statements focusing on the reading to write and what that means, then that might be a learn about sentence. Your learn to sentences are much more focused on the skills. So your learn to are the things that you're going to have to do. You might have to analyze, you might have to craft, you might have to write, you might have to reflect. So think about those differences in those sentences as well. Another great practice is to identify the key or important words, and they become part of the meta language that you will use in future in your assessment to actually reflect on what you've learned in the modules so far. A great way to not only consolidate your understanding of the key rubric terms, but a way to expand your knowledge of the rubric is to create at least 5 synonyms or related terms. And not only is this going to consolidate your understanding of it, but it's going to give you more opportunity to branch out and analyze and interpret in more unique ways. Next, even a summary of your rubric is really crucial here. Could be even 4 sentences, could be some dot points. Try and conceptualize and understand your rubric in your own words. Start with really simple sentence stems like, this module is about, or this rubric wants me to, or reading to write is all about. Also, some sentence stems for what you're going to learn during this module. Start with something like simple. I will learn to. I will learn that I can. I will learn that I need to. And starting off the term with this mindset and with this activity will really help get your brain in stead to learn all things reading to write this term. Get in touch with Strive Academic today for senior English support. We offer term-based online masterclass lessons where we cover all things rubric, all things your prescribed text, and support you during the assessment period.